Aloha, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about how people are still buying real estate deals without tying up all their money. A lot of times, they're not using their own money, they're raising money. And so, we'll be sharing all about that today. So, how people are still buying real estate right now. And even though the market is a little bit, it's harder to find homes that are affordable, there are still creative ways that people are purchasing homes, not only as investments, but for themselves. So if you have any questions for me, make sure you put it in the chat. I will be answering them. And I am on a desktop. So I can't see who's actually watching unless you comment. So comment in the chat where you guys are from too, what you guys want to know about real estate, how we're finding money for these deals. So we'll wait a few minutes for people to join in. But if you have questions in the meantime, put them in the chat. Aloha, Paul, Mando, Styles, Phyllis, Joe, Patty, Kiran. Oh, Kiran has a question. What is basic investment for real estate? So maybe Kiran, you can elaborate on that. Aloha, Casey Green. Hey, Henry. Henry said, Aloha, Zasha, working and listening in. Yes, that's where it all starts. Educating yourself, even while you're working. You could be listening to a podcast on your lunch breaks, reading. I think the biggest wake up call for me after college, I never wanted to read another book. But when I was looking to explore another career or make a shift in my life in investing, I started reading a lot. And of course, they were investment books, but a lot of them were more so based on your daily habits. And some of the ones that really stuck with me is there's one that's a morning routine for success. And then there's also one, Atomic Habits. So those two books really stood out to me that weren't real estate related, but helped me kind of get my mindset right, get my body in the zone. Because it is a real thing. When you're tired, you don't really feel like doing much. But once you get in the zone to get creative, I feel like that's where all the inspiration comes from too. So Jabora, July, Davy, Acosta. So Jaborel, excuse me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. It says Illinois, I guess you're from Illinois. How well is real estate there? So I haven't looked into Illinois in general, but from most markets that I see, a lot of them are softening. So what that means is that there's less people buying. And so sellers have been lowering their price, even here in Hawaii. So Hawaii is a pretty strong market. So is California. As far as the price point is very, very high. But more recently, I think, every day or every other day, there's price drops. They might be a little or they might be a lot. So I would just start looking if you are interested in investing in your area, wherever you're from, whatever country you're in as well. Just start looking at homes that are for sale and just start watching them. And if you're ready for that next step, have a realtor take you walking through one of them to just see it. And I think from there, once you get more experience from actually seeing these homes in person, it'll help you get more motivated to figure out what is your next step, and whether that's passive investing, whether that is active investing. So if you want to purchase the properties or you want to invest your money into it as well, it's something to look into, because I know a lot of people are scared of the market right now. They don't know what it's going to do. Interest rates are high with the war going on, and there's still motivated sellers out there that may sell to you at a discount for less than you think they would. And just because it's listed at a certain price with a realtor doesn't mean that it's worth that much, or you need to buy it at that amount. So I wouldn't be scared to put in offers, especially right now. I still walked a few properties this weekend. So I'm always on the lookout, even if I'm not necessarily buying a lot right now or purchasing properties. I'm still always kind of have my eye out for a deal, an opportunity. And that is key with educating yourself, is that you'll know when a deal pops up. Oh, Jaboro says, I am selling. Yes. So for sellers, it's a hard market. Um, right now, I think, oh, thanks, Stardust, for all the hearts. JJ, thanks for joining. Oh, real estate investing mentors. Maybe we can co host. I don't know how co hosting works on this platform. So if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. I'll be answering them. So Jaboro is selling. He wants to know how good his market is. I think everywhere it's a little bit, market's not as hot for sellers as it was before, but not to say that you can't sell a property. You just have to be more flexible with that. I just sold the property that I maybe made a little bit of money on the sale, but overall I didn't profit from it. So it was costing me money every single month because of the HOA fees. And so this is something to be aware of too. Insurance has gone through the roof for a lot of condos. Thanks, Stardust, for all the hearts. If you have any questions, make sure to put them in the chat. I'm watching on multiple platforms. So if you're on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, make sure you're putting in the chat any messages or any questions you have. We have Karan says she wants to buy her first real estate. How do I start, and what would be the initial investor requirement? So I think this question is great. It means that you're interested in it, but the first thing you need to think about is, what is the strategy that you're trying to use? So are you trying to buy a rental property? Are you trying to buy a home for yourself? Are you trying to fix and flip? So we kind of have to nail that down first. Hey, Lauren, thanks for the hearts. We kind of have to know that first before we can answer any of the other questions of how do you start. But I mean, if you're still brand new to real estate investing, or you don't know what you want to do yet, the key is just getting educated. Read some books, listen to podcasts about real estate investing. For me, Bigger Pockets was a huge help in getting started and trying to find a path or strategy. You can go to biggerpockets.com. I have no affiliation with them. I've been on their podcast before, but that's one of the biggest networks that I know that has a bunch of real estate investors from all over the country. And then just looking at books online. I can also drop my Amazon link to the bookstore that I have. That helped me a lot. Would that help you, Kiran? Let me know in the chat. Hey, Brazil, Cap, Hella Stella. Ooh, I like that. Aziz, Adidas, Kayalani. Any questions that you guys have about real estate, let me know in the chat. We are actually in a couple hours having a master class, some more webinar style where we're diving deeper into these different strategies. So we'll put the link below. You can go to huimastermind.com/masterclass, or you can go to hui, HUI, mastermind.com, and there will be a banner at the top of the website. So we're going to be teaching people how they can get the money to buy a real estate deal. So buy a rental property, buy an investment property, maybe even buy someplace you're going to live in and then rent out the other units. There's so many different ways that you can buy properties. I know a lot of people think that you have to go through a bank, and that's not true to buy a home. Who thought that was true? Put in the chat. What are some other ways that you can buy properties? Does anybody know? Thanks, Stardust. Hey, Ito. Lady KK. So if you guys are interested in real estate investing, put a yes in the comments. But yes, yes, yes. Okay. So if you are getting value from this, hit the like button, share this live so other people can join. Anybody who who wants to buy a home, wants to buy a rental property, wants to get into fix and flipping, share this live with them. And we'll be diving into it right now. And make sure you're following me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. I break down real estate investing and wealth building in a simple way every single day. I'm posting on multiple platforms and would love to help you get started from the beginning. Oh, thanks, Stardust. Sharing the live. Okay. Here's the truth that a lot of people don't realize is that most investors are not using their own money. When I first started, I thought that all these people buying rental properties, buying all these houses had a lot of money. Oh, Miss Melissa said, yes, she's ready. Perfect. So if you are ready to do a deeper dive other than this live that will be going over some things, go to HUI mastermind.com and register for our masterclass happening in a couple hours. I'll put the link here as well. I don't know if you guys can click it, but message me the word masterclass and I'll send you the link too. Okay, so let's get into it. The biggest misunderstanding or misconception about real estate is that a lot of people think that you have to have a lot of cash to get started, a lot of your own money, maybe family money. And for me, that wasn't the case. I grew up in low income housing, raised by a single mom. I did not have money. I actually put myself through college, got out, and was $100,000 in debt from going to college, having a child. I got pregnant at 19 and knew I had to finish college because that's what everybody says to do is go to college, get your degree, then you'll get a high paying job and you'll be good, right? Until you're 67. But for me, after 10 years of working at my job, I am very thankful for the job that I had. It paid the bills. I was still over $100,000 in debt. My debt just kept racking up. I felt like I couldn't ever pay it down. And so And I was working a job that I didn't fulfill me. I was working for people that weren't making an impact on my community. And for me, that was super important. And I think once I started looking into other ways to build wealth to replace my income, I was actually surprised that there's so many ways. Even now with social media, there's so many people on here that are making money that is more than they made at their job. So I think never feel like you're stuck in one place and never feel like you need to do something because it's the only way, because it's not true. So with that, from doing real estate for the last 7 years, owning 17 rental properties, RV parks, office buildings, partnering on multi-million dollar funds, being a multi-million dollar person myself, but still staying true to who I am, I can speak on this because I'm an active investor. I'm moving more passive. So now I have enough money where I can go and invest in other people's deals, invest in other real estate assets. But I can tell you that most real estate investors, these individuals like me, or even bigger individuals, Ryan Pineda, Brandon Turner, most of them are not using their own money. And so real estate isn't more about like how much money you have, it's about finding the right deal and then structuring it correctly. So where investors actually get their money from, there are private lenders, there's partnerships, there's equity investors, they use hard money, they use other people's capital. It's called OPM. So there's multiple ways other than going through a bank specifically that everybody thinks, oh, well, I can't buy a house. I won't qualify. Well, one, did you actually go to the bank and see if you qualify? That's the number one step, the number one fear we have to get over. Because I think a lot of people just assume they can't get a home loan, but they never actually try to get one to see. Because once you go in and do that, you'll see, okay, where do I need to make improvements? Maybe you need to improve your credit score. Maybe you need to show more income, and you'll get the next steps to be able to qualify. But that's just one way. And even if you don't qualify that way, there's multiple other ways to get funds for real estate, for houses. So I never want you guys to hold yourself back, because once you start educating yourself and you start learning and like diving deeper into how to get money for homes, especially if you're looking as an investment, everything starts to look differently. So, would you want to learn how you can get money from these private lenders, from partnerships, from equity investors, from hard money? Put in the chat yes if you guys want to learn more about that. And any other questions? Hey, Sasha, Nessa, Judy, chef it up. Farhan, Ho'ona Nea Music. Oh, thank you. His sister just brought me a shake. Any questions you guys have, put it in the chat. Has anyone on here ever used a different way to finance a home? And if so, put whatever that way was, so people know that that's a thing, not only me speaking on it. So Stardust says, yes, please. Love to love. Oh, I like that. Yes. Thanks, Stardust. Okay, let's answer some question here. So, how can I become a successful business man or woman? So, I think one thing is to, I mean, everybody has a different definition of success, but if you want different, you got to be different, you got to act different, you got to do different things. So, I think getting out of your comfort zone is the first start. So, figure out whatever that success means to you, and then who is successful that you want to be like, that you want to follow their journey. Maybe you don't want to be exactly like them, but you are interested in the way that they build wealth, and figure out how to get around them. Figure out if they're speaking at events, if they're going to be at different meetups, if there's a conference maybe coming up, or even if they have a business and they have workshops or something like that. Like, figure out a way to get in front of them. And that being around that circle, you want to be around the smallest fish in the room, is what they say, right? And that's how you get new ideas. That's how you get new inspiration. That's how you're able to kind of relate whatever they're talking about to your own life and implement it into your own journey to be successful. So, in the beginning, number one, before I went to any of these events or got around this new network of people, I started educating myself because I didn't want to show up to these real estate meetups or events not even knowing the basics. So for me, I read books, I listened to podcasts, got familiar with the terminology, got familiar with different people's stories, especially those I wanted to connect with. And then I ended up joining a mentorship. And that, honestly, it was totally not, it was out of my budget because it was already $100,000 in debt. But I made that investment in myself because I wanted to cut the learning curve. I had 10-year goals that I want to achieve in 5. I achieved those in 3. So it depends on how fast you want to get to your goals, right? And how you're going to make that happen. So I think to become successful, first figure out what that definition is for yourself, and then figure out who you want to be like or follow their journey, or what are your interests, and figure out who are the big kind of players, the top people, the successful people in that industry, and figure out a way to get around them. So that's some of the things that I did. And, to each their own. If you have any other questions, keep putting them in the chat and I can answer. Shaudon said, how can you explain listing your real estate as an asset in a trust fund instead of buying the house property in your own name? Could you explain listing your real estate as an asset in a trust fund? Okay. So my interpretation of this question, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a CPA, I'm not a licensed financial advisor, or anything like that. I am just speaking from my own experience, is depending on what your definition of a trust fund is. For me, I have a trust that I title my properties under. So real estate is an asset in that trust fund because the trust owns the property. So there's different ways you can buy the property in your own name. You can buy it in an LLC. You could buy it and title it in a trust. That's just the titling of the property. So if you're buying in your own name, a lot of times people do that, and I did that in the beginning, was to get the best interest rates on first-time home buyer or conventional loans. You'll get lower rates if you're going to live in that property. If you're not going to live in that property and it's going to be an investment, then talk to your CPA. What's the best next steps? Should you still buy it in your name? Should you buy it in an LLC? Should you title it in your trust? And how will that affect your taxes? How is it going to affect your P&L? What extra costs are there that comes with it? Because opening an LLC is great, or having a trust is great, but it doesn't protect you from getting sued or a lot of the liabilities, right? Like people can still connect you to your company if they have a very good attorney. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I feel like if you want to put things in a trust versus your own name, talk to your CPA and talk to your lawyer because they're probably going to have two different um, pieces of advice for you. I know in the beginning, there's the one or the other, right? Because a CPA may tell you, well, you know, you're going to have to pay more because now holding it in a trust. I know there's like trust fees that come along with purchasing or titling it under your trust. If you have to create another bank account, so I don't know if you have a bookkeeper, you're going to have to really maintain your books when it comes to trust and LLCs. Whereas in your personal name, everything is tied together. So there's less cost with it. But with that, even if the property is listed in your own name and it's a rental or uh, an investment property, you can get um, insurance that will help cover in the event if any of your renters slip and fall, if there's anybody who, you know, anything legal things that happen, you can get insurance against the property to help if that ever happens. So apartments with Jamie, she did seller finance on her 6 unit. Congrats. See, that's one way that you can creatively buy properties. And what seller finance is basically when the owner finances a deal for you. So you don't have to go through a bank a lot of times. They may require a deposit or a down payment. And then you don't have to go most times, depending on the seller. They may not ask for your credit score. They might not ask for bank statements. They may not ask for, your paycheck to verify that you can make the payments. It totally depends on what they want. But I have done the same. I've done several seller finance deals where the owner just said, I'll be the bank for you. So it does happen more than you guys know. And it is an option, but you won't know you have the option unless you educate yourself and look into these different strategies. Farhan said, can I connect with you in LinkedIn? Yes. LinkedIn is Zasha Smith. You can search me on there. Hey, Genevieve, Dave, Mo, Marky, Ramya. Ramya says, I am a financial advisor. Awesome. Perfect. I am not a financial advisor, CPA, or lawyer. So all the answers that I'm giving you guys are just from my experience. Native, best yet. And I love working with financial advisors too. There's some advisors that, because I do have a real estate investment fund where we accept accredited investors. So we're able to market a lot of the ways that people can invest with us and make a set interest. And for those financial advisors that are real estate friendly, um, I love to work with them because they know that they have their client's best interest in mind. And if their client is interested in something like that, as long as they do their due diligence, they do their background checks on the partners in the fund or whatever they're investing in, right? Every investment is a risk. Nothing is guaranteed. But they have a good track record, if they have done multiple deals, have a good balance sheet, it's a way that, oh yeah, Ramya, that your clients could get potentially 10 to 12% returns on their funds, on their money. So we have a real estate debt and equity fund. If anybody's interested in that as well, can message me on any of the platforms. And hey, Stardust, I can get you more in that. But So Jay, okay, wait, let's see. Oh, Stardust says, well, we need to have our camera on in class. No, I mean, it's better if you have your camera on because it's nicer to feel like I'm talking to people than myself. But we do have a class, a master class happening in a couple hours. Go to Hui Mastermind, HUI Mastermind.com. And we'll be diving deep into all of these different strategies on how investors are actually getting money for their deals. So getting money for real estate, getting money for properties, getting money for apartment buildings, getting money for RV parks. I own a couple with partners. And it's just been amazing to see or know that like you don't have to do it all by yourself. Like I always thought that I had to get all the money or I had to um go out and find these deals and manage them, but partnerships have been a game changer in that. Gotti. Okay. So, what was your first deal and what would you do differently now? Ooh, J Mom, that's a good question. So, my first deal, I guess you would say investment deal, because I bought in homes um, before I became an investor, even while I was in debt, which I didn't think was possible, but it is. It's totally possible. My first deal I went to a foreclosure auction at the courthouse. So, for those who don't know, there's auctions that happen at the courthouse. And what happens is if people don't pay their mortgage or they're going through divorce or somebody passed away in their family and they got to go to probate court, there's so many different reasons why houses or properties end up in court. Now, full disclaimer, I don't suggest people to buy properties that families are trying to keep or families are living in that are just falling on hard times and you try to negotiate buying that property and they're now out on the street. I preach investing with aloha, do the right thing. You believe in God and karma, everything comes back to you. So, with that, my first deal was I bought it at a courthouse. It was a foreclosure, pre foreclosure, and it was a condo because for my first time buying a property as an investment, I didn't want to take on a house because the house is for someone who's never done a renovation before, that's a lot to take on and it is scary. So I thought, okay, I will just get a condo and deal with it. And that'll be easier on my plate because at the time I was still working my full time job, 60 to 70-hour weeks, and then transition into real estate investing. So I did both for a while until I was able to replace my income. And this first deal helped me to do that. So I bought a condo, and as soon as we closed on it, I started renovating it. It took us 30 days to renovate. And the market, mind you, I live in Hawaii and Maui. This is 2019. The market was hot, it was booming. So, what I thought it was going to sell for once we were done with the renovations, even if it only was 30 days later, it sold for a lot more than I thought. And it sold in 15 days to a cash buyer. So, what I would do differently is nothing because I made $103,000 on that one deal. Crazy. I think later on, as the market heated up and I was making money, I got into more deals and partnerships. And that's probably my mistake. I started jumping into more deals and trying to scale too fast. So that's something I would do differently is just take each deal one by one. But at the time, I was just saying yes to everything because I knew once I said no, or I didn't, if I was too scared to jump on an opportunity, then I wouldn't get to my goals as fast as I did. Like I still have no regrets, well, some regrets, some partnerships. But um other than that, I'm still in the positive as far as my wealth, as far as properties, as far as income. So I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. And now I'm talking to you guys. So, yes. J-Mom, what return do you aim for? Cash flow, ROI? Um, so now my life looks different than it did when I first started. So now I'm more passive investing. We're raising money for our funds. I'm not buying as many properties if a deal does come up. And so for me, what a deal would look like is a multi-unit property um, that has like a, I would say 10. It's hard to really say because I buy multiple in multiple different asset classes. But your mom said, no, that is crazy. Congrats for taking risks. Not everyone would do that. Yes. So it's a leap of faith that you have to take in yourself and just know that you can do it. Farhan says, are you interested in Dubai real estate? Not at the moment. I do know other people from Hawaii who are investing in Dubai, but for right now, with the market the way it is, I'm kind of just tightening up the investments that I already have. And I'm not really taking on a lot of risk because when you're getting into new markets or you're getting into things that you are outside of the United States, that's really outside my comfort zone. So if the market was hot and I was making a lot of money in and doing deals like I was in 2019, 2020, 2021, I would definitely say yes. But in this point in time, not right now. Not to say it's you shouldn't, but for me, no. Hey, Madeline. Okay. So for those who are on from the beginning, we have been on for almost an hour. There's a lot more in depth than this, and I can cover in the short live about how to find the money to buy to buy real estate deals, how we're getting creative and getting into the methods that I talked about earlier with private lenders, hard money, partnerships. There's so many different ways to buy properties, buy houses without using the bank. So we're going to be going over that in our masterclass coming up, breaking it all down. And we're talking about things that actually work and give you steps that you can implement. And like I said, how you get comfortable with this or how you change, right? I think in the beginning, I had to go up. Somebody asked, who is that? Oh, how can I become a successful businessman or woman? And for me, that's really important to think about. It's like, what does success look like for you? And I think, like I mentioned to him, one thing is figuring out that who you want to be around and then educating yourself, then getting around them, right? At networking events, things like that. But the key there is educating yourself so that you even know what your options, you even know what you're talking about. You're making the right decision for yourself. So if you guys want to learn how real estate deals are actually funded, then we'll be talking about that in a couple hours on our masterclass, step by step. So go to huimastermind.com. I know in some of these I can't put the link. Hui, HUI mastermind.com, or comment in the chat masterclass and it should take you to that link, or message me and I'll send it to you as well, or comment below. So with that, don't think you have to have all the cash, all this money to invest in real estate, to buy rentals, to fix and flip, to buy your own home. There's so many different ways you can structure deals. You can fund investments, you can get investments, but you just got to be creative and you got to stop thinking like a regular buyer, right? You got to start thinking like an investor, even if it's for your own home. How can you make your own home cash flow? Well, you can buy multiple units, even with a conventional loan. So if that made you think a little bit differently, hit the like button so more people can see this. And after we get off, share this live with someone that you know that's looking to buy a property. So with that, hopefully I see you on the masterclass. Message me. Catch you on the next one. Hui ho.